Hello. Hello, 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 hello. Hi, Dawn. It's good to see you. It's good to see all of you that are going to be coming and that are able to come. And Dawn has already given me the pink wave. Thank you, Dawn. Dawn was at my Facebook Live, so it's good to have you back again for this live on YouTube. All right, so I'm Chris of Chrissy's Over the Mountain Crochet and Crafts, and I have figured out how to have you on my phone, and I can watch you over here, and I can see. I think I'm figuring things out. I've worried about having echoes and all of that. And if you can hear me, let me know. If you can't hear me, let me know because that's important. If you can't hear me, I've got a problem. All right, so let me get started and talk to you about this is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and I've been. It's funny to watch myself over here, and I. And I've been talking about breast cancer awareness and a little bit about my journey through the month of October. But I do want to talk a little bit more about what I dealt with, how I had. If you're from around here, there were three people from West Virginia on my on my live on Facebook. So let me know where you're from. Let me know where the weather is. I do like to hear what the weather is. The weather is kind of chilly and damp here, and it's going to frost in a few days, and I'm going to lose my flowers, and I'm disappointed in that. But I'm thankful. I've had a good run of flowers. I'm thankful I still have flowers in the garden. My nasturtiums just went crazy this year. We have like a 6 foot bank um, that I have to keep weed eated all summer and spring, and it's really steep. And this year I planted nasturtiums at the base of the bank, and those nasturtiums took off and are growing up to the road. And so I've been going out and gathering as much seed as I can from those nasturtiums so that I can plant them again next year. I'm looking forward to that. But my breast cancer journey is not like everyone else's, and I want to talk to you about my cancer journey and talk to you about chemo caps and the different types of chemo caps. Now, when I was diagnosed with breast cancer, I had been getting mammograms for every 6 months. It had been about 2 or 3 years. Something that you need that folks need to understand is that the mammogram, oh my goodness, it saves so many lives. And I'm not going to use any of the trendy phrases that shock you as far as making sure you get your mammogram. But what I want to shock you about is that if you still think something is wrong if you've had your mammogram, pressure your doctor. There is a breast MRI that can be done. My breast cancer wasn't diagnosed through the mammogram. As a matter of fact, I was having my mammogram and ultrasounds every 6 months for it was about 2.5, 3 years. And at one point, this last time, I had large lumps, and they were growing, and they were painful. The pain was shooting through my breast, and I remember that last mammogram I had, the doctor read my mammogram, and the doctor read my mammogram and sent the nurse out, and she said, "Honey, he says that you don't really have to come every 6 months, that these are just cysts." And I said, "Well, what about the pain?" And she said, "Well, they're just cysts." Well, it wasn't a few more months. It was probably 2 or 3 months. You could visibly the pain got worse, and you could visibly see that I had cancer. So I went to my female doctor. He took one look at me, ran out of the room, and then came back and said, "Can you go get a mammogram?" And I said, "What for?" He said, "Please." I said, "Okay." And then he got me into a surgeon like in 2 days, I believe it was. And the surgeon was like, "Well, it's cancer." But it had gotten so large. It was not the type of cancer that I had to have chemo and radiation, but it had gotten so large I had to have a mastectomy. So I had surgery, and I go to my oncologist next week actually, and I will be 4 years cancer free. If everything looks like it's cancer free, I'll be 4 years cancer free. And So I'm excited about that. But I'm just now feeling like talking. I'm just now feeling like I have my voice on how to talk to folks about what I've been through sitting back and listening and talking with folks in Facebook groups and talking with folks who've gone through breast cancer. And I'm not the only one that has gone through the mammograms not catching the cancer. The gold standard is a breast MRI. I didn't know I could get a breast MRI. Others didn't either. But as soon as I got to the surgeon, he said, I'm scheduling you for a breast MRI. So I know exactly where everything is. And then it was determined that it was so large I would have to have a mastectomy. So I didn't have to take chemo. I didn't have to take radiation, but the mastectomy surgery was pretty tough. It was uncomfortable. The recovery was uncomfortable, but I'm just now getting comfortable talking about it. I feel like I have been able to gather in knowledge on what makes a good chemo cap also. Um, when like I'll just to be blunt and honest, there have been people that would scold me. I would I was designing chemo caps before I got cancer, and I would have folks scold me and say, "You can't make a chemo cap out of that yarn." Well, yes, you can. I've learned a few things. I've been at the cancer center, my local cancer center, and I've talked with them. And so we'll talk about that in just a moment. But if you think something is wrong, I knew something was wrong. I wish I had pushed. I didn't know I could push. I didn't know there was another test that could be done. I guess the insurance companies um aren't that great at approving a breast MRI, but my cancer was visible. You could see it. So, did the breast MRI and it showed everything. And so now I have a breast MRI every single year. Supposed to have a breast mammogram every 6 months. I don't always have the mammogram. I depend on the breast MRI. Um, and there's so many different things that cancer patients go through. I didn't have to have chemo and I didn't have to have radiation and I didn't lose my hair, but I've learned from others that it's very painful when you lose your hair. That's why a lot of people cut their hair off in advance, is because the follicles get really sore. Um, I know one of the treatments they wanted me to do was a hormone replacement therapy, or not hormone replacement, I take that back, a hormone blocker. And there are a lot of side effects to that. And some ladies can take that hormone blocker and it doesn't phase them whatsoever. Some ladies don't do so well, and I did not do well. It can create tremendous hot flashes. And I tried 3 different kinds of hormone blockers, and I wasn't able to take them. I created a lot of pain. I could handle the hot flashes. If it was just the hot flashes, I would have been okay. But I had so much pain. I couldn't get out of the car. It just was it really was depressing, actually. It was so much pain, and my cancer wasn't that dangerous, and I was like, I'm not gonna do this. I can't do this. But I do remember those hot flashes. So when I started designing chemo caps again, I designed mesh chemo caps that had a lot of holes in them. Because when you're hot and sweaty, but yet you don't have hair, you might want something to cover your head. Or if you're in an area that is very hot, like Arizona, or you want to walk outside for just a few moments and it's hot outside, you want a chemo cap that has holes in it so you can breathe. When I first put those out there, it was a big risk to say, honestly, it was to say that my mesh chemo caps were chemo caps, even though they were mesh. And I had some criticism, not a lot. I had a lot of other people come in and say, "Thank you. I appreciate this." So then I started thinking, it it's not standard. There are no absolutes when you're making a chemo cap. Now there is a certain type of chemo cap that is needed in the respect of folks want to use this a certain type of chemo cap to sleep in. Something that's stretchy, close to the head, will be warm, and they can sleep in it and it won't slide off. That's a great chemo cap. But they also want to wear chemo caps that are comfortable and soft and fuzzy. But let me tell you, when I was taking the hormone blockers, my skin was irritable. It was so irritable. If you're watching, let me know where you're from. I know Dawn said she's from Washington. Let me see if anyone else has commented. Not yet. If you're watching, please let me know where you're from. I'll go ahead and talk about the chemo caps and my skin irritation. But anyway, when I was taking the hormone blockers, I just felt irritable. And some chemo patients cannot tolerate certain kinds of yarn. Some chemo patients can tolerate certain kinds of yarn and they don't care. They're wanting something to wear. And so don't let folks discourage you, or don't discourage yourself thinking, I don't know what kind of chemo cap to make. I'll show you some examples of some chemo caps that you can make that are a little bit out of the box, but that you can make those also. But I also want to read a note to you from someone who sent me uh, a note last week to tell me that they couldn't make the live. She was in the UK, but here's what she said. She said, I can't be there. I believe her name was Debbie. I'm pretty sure her name was Debbie. She sounds so sweet. She said, can't be there, but totally agree about cancer hats being needed. People don't realize until you join a room full of others having treatment and they're all wanting a nice donated hat as their scalps are tender and a soft blanket or a wrap. So donating a blanket or a wrap would be welcome as they tend to feel cold. I'm navigating eye cancer and had my left eye removed in April this year. And my best friend's sister found out through a mammogram that she has breast cancer. And my mom has just been diagnosed with breastfeeding cancer. I've never heard of breastfeeding cancer. If you know what that's about, let me know. Um, and Dawn Tennyson said she uses mostly cotton, and cotton is great, especially the cotton blends. Oh, there's nothing wrong with the cotton, but I'm telling you, those make great chemo caps. Um, but she said, and her mom has been diagnosed with breastfeeding cancer, and she has surgery scheduled for 2 weeks in 2 weeks time, which would be, she has 1 week left. So she wholeheartedly agrees that cancer hats are needed. Also, soft blankets and wraps during the treatment. She said, mammograms save lives. Sorry I can't join you. I'm in the UK and I'm so tired from appointments and treatment this week. She said, I'm going to crash now. Bless her heart. I know how tired I was after everything. It's exhausting. And she's lost her eye and she's navigating life with one eye and trying to help her mother. I know that has to be hard. She could use your prayers. She said, I've done hats for myself and my mother and my friend's sister, and I'm hoping to take 8 that I finished in time for Monday's treatment group. And others have asked, so I'm donating in the name of anyone who would have gotten a Christmas gift from me this year. Thank you, Debbie. Yes, her name is Debbie. And then she also said, she said, even the bottle carrier that I had released, she said, it is so relevant to donating to cancer treatment patients, including myself and family and friends. So she's going to include that as Christmas presents also. So just anything nice that you can do for someone who's going through chemo or cancer. You know, I hate my cancer. My blood pressure always goes up during my cancer treatment. Not my cancer treatment, but my cancer appointments. It just does. It's not my favorite place to go. You go because you have to go. So, and then one other lady in our my Facebook group told me, she said, and I showed this last week, she said that her neck got really cold. So I've done it. I've designed it and I released the pattern. It's free. It's on my website. I'll put the links down below. But I designed a chemo cap that has a little bit of a moss stitch at the band but I used chenille yarn. Then I designed a matching cowl. She said that she lost all of her hair and she was used to wearing long hair, and her neck got so cold that she lived with a fleece around her neck. So, neck warmers, blankets, wraps, hats, anything. So, when I design a new chemo cap now, I will be designing a neck wrap to go with it. But there's also this. When I designed the mesh chemo caps, I also put little flowers on some of them because it was around Easter time. And I know when I was thinking about the fact that I might have chemo, I was designing chemo caps. I didn't want it to look like a chemo cap. The first one I designed had a turned up brim like this because when I went out in public, I didn't want to look like I was going through chemo. I just wanted to look normal. So this type of hat would be good to donate because I've seen cancer patients, they'll wear a normal like hat like this, because wouldn't this be cute with a fur palm on top of it? In the wintertime, you wouldn't be able to wear this during the summer, but they would wear a knit, a real tight knit uh hat, and then wear a hat like this over top of it, just so that they would look or feel a little bit normal. And then I think, wouldn't it be nice to wear one of these, a cloche that has a vintage pin? I need to write the crochet pattern for this, but a cloche would come down low and around your neck and around your ears, and you could wear uh, a knit um, type of chemo cap under a close knit. But aren't these pretty? Like I said, I've donated hats with flowers on them, and they said, "Oh yeah, the ladies will love those." So they want to look pretty, and so I want to say something about this chemo cap. This isn't a chemo cap. This is a bucket hat. And could a chemo patient wear this? Yes, they could. This is made out of a soft, slicky yarn. Soft, slicky yarns, if your skin is really irritable, you might not be comfortable with this. And then you can see a little bit of texture. It wouldn't be good for sleeping. But these would be perfectly acceptable to wear with a little piece of knit. So, but there's another project I've been working on. If you've been following me on Facebook, actually, I wanted to show you my favorite yarn to use is Lion Brand Kubu. This is a chemo cap I designed holding two strands of Lion Brand Kubu. I really like using that. But I've been working on a project. I'm trying a new crochet stitch, and I've been calling it the staggered wheat stitch. You'll have to go to Facebook and see the photos that I have up there. I don't think I can put the photo in the comments. Let me see if I can. I don't think I can. Let me see. No. Oh, I wish I could. All right. Anyway, so this new stitch, it's not new. It's something that I saw years and years ago. And there is a lady on YouTube, and she has made a hat. She made the hat 5 years ago. She's made a hat using this stitch, and she calls it the wheat stitch. I know Brianna Kay has the wheat stitch wrapped up. Oh, she's made some beautiful blankets and just pumpkins. And I think she's also made a has she made a cardigan out of the wheat stitch? I don't know, but she calls it the wheat stitch. But this is a staggered wheat stitch. So you can see right here, I've got my attempt at the staggered wheat stitch has not gone very well. I tried it with, I tried following this lady on YouTube, and she's a really good teacher. She has 200 and, oh no, she has 674K subscribers. Her name is Siren's Crochet. I'll put the link um, to her tutorial down below. But you have double crochets, and then you have, let me look at my camera and see if I can. And then you have puff stitches. And then these puff stitches will stagger and come up over here and over here. It's really a pretty stitch, and she calls it the wheat stitch, and I'll put that down below. So that has not gone well for me. I thought I was more advanced than what I really am, but I guess I'm not. I guess I'm not. But anyway, Do you have any questions for me? Anyone have anything they'd like to talk about? Um, I just want to continue to bring awareness that if you're wanting to make chemo caps and donate them, do it. Don't be afraid. Check with your cancer center. I don't know that they'll reject them, but they may have a certain need at the moment. But I would think that they would take most anything. That they would take most blankets, most wraps, most neck warmers, most hats. The chenille yarn does shed. Uh, if someone has sores on their head, because some cancer patients have sores on their head, that would not be acceptable. But reach out if you know someone personally going through cancer, find out what their situation is, and you can specifically make a hat for them, and that would be a blessing. But let's help one another. I can only help a few people, but all of us together can help many people. And I want to encourage you, don't let anyone discourage you, or don't discourage yourself or think, I can't do that. I don't have the yarn. You probably, if you've been crocheting anytime, you probably do have the yarn. You don't have to go out and buy anything special. But anyway, well, it was good to have you on my side of the yarn. Dawn, I'm always so good to see you. So happy to see you. I don't see any other comments other than Dawn's. So I'll say goodbye to Dawn. Goodbye, Dawn. And I'll see you in the Facebook group. Dawn, I really appreciate your support. Bye.